Personally, I think that it's really cool to start young in this business, because as you get older, you got all sorts of other commitments that can really bar you from entering the business, and also being really successful at it. Because every time like a new game comes out, the bar is raised, and the level of work, the quality, and the creativity, what you need to produce, just goes up and up and up, and it just becomes increasingly difficult to produce really top-notch titles. And so not only do you need to be talented, but you just got to be ultra focused at doing the job, and just say all this other stuff, even things like E3 and ECTS trade shows, all the cool stuff. That's all fun, but at the end of the day, you got to really focus on the work and deliver. And finishing is really, really hard, and that's why it's important to be able to demonstrate to prospective employers that you can actually start something and finish it, and that this is what you set out to do, and I did it. And I think they look for that. When you have people, I look at resumes all the time, and then sometimes I look at resumes where people have started some really cool projects and they got some cool stuff to show, but they never got it done, or they're hopping from one company to another company, never actually starting on a project when the project started, and being there when it's done. They quit midstream or something and move on to something else. Those are warning flags, and to be able to demonstrate that you can stay focused, have a very positive attitude. That's also really important. You got to have a really good perspective and a positive attitude about it, because sometimes it just gets you just have to just keep at it, and what you want to do, you want to go to bed, you want to quit, you want to do something else, and you can't do that if you really want to win. But alongside the persistence and the hard work is really the passion, and the passion is what I think drives most of us here, not all of us. I think the passion is really what got us in the first place, and what keeps us going. Yeah.
Making games is a lot of fun, but being a game programmer or artist is not fun. What you do every day when you come in is not fun. It really isn't. When you sit down, you're basically coding, you're fixing bugs, you're doing that sort of thing. But the process of making a game is unbelievable, and that's what draws us to it. So
it is a real challenge, a huge challenge.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, it is. And so, the best things about making games are being on a team with a lot of people that you can talk to and exchange ideas, seeing sort of a game come to life. That's why we're all in this industry. But day to day, what you have to do is a lot of pain. It is. There's just no way around it, because you're tracking down, well, gee, it should be working right. Everything that I wrote just, I don't understand why this texture goes behind that other texture, because when I put the model together, it was fine. That's the sort of stuff that you deal with. And if you have the persistence to be able to do that, if you can be very focused, as he was saying, that's what's going to pay off. And there's nothing like it. It's the same thing when you're writing a novel. It's the same thing when you're making a film or working on a television show. The act of producing something creative is a lot of fun, but the specific tasks that you go through are very difficult and very arduous, and you have to be willing to make that kind of commitment to it, especially when you're 3 months behind schedule, and you have to make payroll, and you're not going to get another check from the publisher until that happens.
I don't think there's an argument that you guys have the passion. To be here at noon on a Sunday is tough. So we know that you guys want to get into gaming, and that's exactly, everybody's talking about passion and persistence, and there's no doubt about it. If any of you want to be a writer, a freelance writer, such as myself, that again also has trials and tribulations as well. It may sound very cool to play games for a living, and it is to some extent, but as mirrored by some of the things that's said here, you don't exactly get a chance to play other games that much, especially when you're working on a development team for different reasons. So ironically, sometimes you get in the industry because you think it's so much fun, but it's a lot of work. For example, if you work from home, forget it if you're a TV person, because you'll never get anything done. You'll sit around in your boxer shorts all day and watch, Jerry Springer. So you got to be totally disciplined. You got to sit at your PC, and for you guys that are either programming at home or want to be a writer, it's the same thing. There's a million distractions from working at home. You have no one looking over your shoulder to make sure things are done. You got your buddies calling you who are bored to death at their 9-to-5 job. Who want to call you and say, so, do you get a copy of that Rainbow Six expansion pack? Burn me a copy? You get guys like that all the time, right? Well, this is the kind of stuff that I go through every day, right? Then there's the traveling, that takes a big toll on you. So I mean, with every occupation, no matter how glorious it sounds, there's always some downsides as well. So you got to have that passion, you got to have that persistence and discipline, and it all pays off because, you know, I can't speak, these guys create games, these guys create universes that we all dig, so I don't have that kind of gratification, but seeing your article on the front cover of whatever magazine, that's a different kind of gratification. So it's all rewards and punishments. You got to weigh it out, and you know, whatever gets you up in the middle of the night and just with a stupid grin ear to ear going, wow, you know, I want to either make a game that's going to sell as much as Quake 2 or Age of Empires or whatever, or I want to write and tell other gamers about how cool this is and get a chance to interview these guys. You know, you got to realize what's important to you, and you really do have to throw out all the other things that are going to pull you down, such as, you know, having to come in and stare blankly at code, or whether you want to, you know, turn off the tube and say, okay, Ricky Lake, another day, I'm going to do my work. So it's discipline.
To expand on that a little bit, I mean, if you look at any game that's created today and look at the credits, there are a lot of people involved in making a game. And every one of us have their ultimate game they'd love to make in their mind. If you approach a software publisher or anybody else and say, I've got this cool idea for a game, everyone has a cool idea for a game. That's not enough to get you into the game business. You have to figure out what you want to do, whether you're a programmer, an artist, a writer, a producer. I'm none of those things. I don't program, I can't draw, I can't do anything. So the only way, yeah, seriously.
Don't be too hard.
The only way I can get into the game business was to support people, to talk to the game developers, to represent a technology or whatever. And so, you know, my people skills was the only thing I had to rely on in order to try and get into the games business. And it was enough, and I'm in the games business. And maybe one of these days I'll be able to create a cool game and learn the skills that I need to do that. In the meantime, I had to take what I could get. So it's not enough just to have a cool game idea. You really have to focus on what your skills are and use those to do it. If it's beta testing, if it's QA, if it's design, whatever it may be.
How many people here want to start their own game company or like just work on their own game at home? That sort of thing? Kill them all. Okay. All right. Shut the doors. Start the gas. It's a brutal time out there. It's really tough. We deal with a lot of game developers. We deal with about as many as you probably are aware of, because chances are that if they're publishing a title or they're in a magazine review or they're on a website somewhere, we're talking to them. We deal with basically all the hardware manufacturers as well. The fact is, there aren't really any hard and fast rules, as I think you may have heard when we were all sort of talking about where we came from. But there are sort of some guidelines. There are some paths that are easier than others. And what I've seen, I mean, just sort of sitting here thinking about it, I can think of five basic guidelines that come off the top of my head, and some of them you've already heard. The first one is you've got to specialize as much as possible, right? I mean, it's not enough to be an artist or a programmer. You've got to be a programmer who is really, really good at writing rasterization layers for action games. I mean, you know, something that really distinguishes you, because ultimately at the end of the day, you've got to be valuable to a company. And the way that you're valuable is by providing some sort of service that is very hard for them to find. You know, either nobody else does it or very few people do it. So the more that you can do to think of something really specific other than, I love games, I'm going to make a game. Be as specific as you possibly can and try to specialize. The second thing that's really important to do is to learn everything you can about that area that you're going to specialize in. It's not enough to go onto Blues News every day or to, you know, onto Voodoo Extreme and know about the industry and know every game that's ever come out. Frankly, to some extent, that might actually be a detriment, because you